Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. This is a safe space for discussing books, life, um, and I don't know, just life in general, I guess. Yeah, that's what this is meant for. Today we are back with a video. Um, that is titled my book wrap up for February. So basically, in this video, you will hear me ranting and yapping about the books that I read in the month of February. So here we go. Okay, so I just decided that I want to show you the books that I read in both January and February because I have not done a monthly wrap up video for both January and February. So I guess we will do both of them together. Um, let's show you the pile of books that we read for both of the months. Please sit with a cup of tea or coffee because this is going to be a long video. These are all the books that I read for both January and February. Some of them I am in between, and most of them I have completed. So that's that. So the first book that I read in 2025 is a book by Sadhguru. It's called Enlightenment by Sadhguru, which is a collection of all of his discourses that he had previously spoken in different satsangs. So this is a compilation of all of those discourses. As always, it's beyond words. It's not something that you can express in words. It's something that you get to feel, it's something that you get to resonate with, but it's difficult to say how this was in words. So the best thing for you would be to check out the book. I would like to read out some passages from the book that deeply resonated with me. The most difficult thing about enlightenment is that it is too simple and most obvious. The whole world misses it because it is so obvious. If it were somewhere up on the moon, everyone would have gotten it by now. The problem is, it is right here, within you. Your whole focus is outward. That is the whole problem. Your whole focus is outward. That is the whole problem. I would like to read to you some more passages. Okay, so Sadhguru says, right now, if you want to experiment, just walk 20 feet outside the fence, sit there and meditate. Walk into the ashram, sit and meditate. It will be different because we have invested an enormous amount of energy to keep this place the way that it is. If you allow yourself to melt into it, wonderful things will happen. If you fight it, if you torture, it will torture you in every possible way. Because this is not something that you can grasp or master or reject. Either you melt into it or you suffer. This is the only way it is. Because the whole spiritual process means just this, that you're willing to melt away your individuality to experience the universality. If you do not want to melt your individuality down, you should not talk about spirituality. some more things that really resonated with me. I'd like to talk about that. Sadhguru talks about devotion in one place, and he says, devotion is not drama. Devotion cannot be taught to you. It's just a way of living. Devotion is the way you walk, just the way you breathe, the way your heart beats. It is not something that you put on when someone comes in front of you. That is not going to yield you anything. Suddenly, if you bow down, it may dislocate your joints. For sure, you're not doing your morning yoga, so it could easily dislocate your joints. And then he says, one simple thing that you can do which will also release me is how you become the moment that you see me, you be like that with everything. I want you to look upon every tree, every blade of grass, the cloud, the stone, the brick wall, and the people, man, woman, child, every creature and every inanimate thing that you see. You just see everything as Sadhguru, because all of them are reverberating pretty good, so you could just call them that. And then he says, when you are here, the most important thing is that you drop your drama. I still see many of you like this. You're walking with a swagger, and then suddenly, if you see me, you burst into devotion and bow down. That's not going to work. You must be soaked with this stuff. It has taken an enormous effort to make this place loaded like this. It's not for you to strut around. And then he says, just look upon everything the same way. You see a tree, you see it like Sadhguru is standing there. You see a stone, you see it like Sadhguru is standing there. Then you will breathe in this space and become a part of it. Then you will take it all in. Otherwise, you will become immune to everything. Above all, if you're going to put around a drama, busy covering your ass, for sure you'll miss everything. Above all, if you're going to be putting on a drama, busy covering your ass, for sure you will miss everything. That's Sadhguru for you. For those who do not know, I've been initiated by Sadhguru back in 2023. So it's been more than 2 years now. 2022 November is when I came in touch with someone known as Sadhguru, and he drew me all in. And there's no looking back since then. Okay. And if you don't know how Sadhguru looks, this is Sadhguru. So 5 out of 5. Definitely give it a read. Maybe people who have read books like Himalayan Lust and Mystic's Musings will find initially that this book contains discourses that are similar to the YouTube videos, but if you read it with an open mind and an open heart, you will find that the same things that you read before, you're approaching it in a totally different way right now. So that's the first read of 2025. The second read of 2025, if I'm not mistaken, is Almond by Pyung Sohn. Now, this is about a child that does not feel the emotions that we generally feel, like anger, hatred, resentment, happiness, sadness, frustration, or guilt. He doesn't feel any of it. So I'll read you the blurb. It says, Yunje was born with a brain condition called alexithymia that makes it hard for him to feel emotions like fear or anger. He does not have friends, but his devoted mother and grandmother provide him with a safe and contented life. But everything changes when a shocking act of random violence shatters his world, leaving him alone and on his own. Struggling to cope with his loss, Yoon-jae retreats into silent isolation until troubled teenager Gon arrives at his school. The two form a surprising bond, and when Gon suddenly finds his life at risk, Yoon-jae will have to step outside his comfort zone he has created to perhaps become the hero of the story. So, if I tell you the climax of the story, you will just fall off your chair. You have to give this a read to understand the intensity of this book. It's a must read for every young adult that is out there from the age of 16 to 25. You must pick this book up. It's a fantastic read, and it's something that will stay with you for a long time because it really teaches you how to be and how to live, not for yourself but for others. And what is it that makes a fulfilling life? That's Almond by Pyung Sun. I will probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. The third book that I read in January is Hidden Mysteries by Osho Rajneesh. So it's a simple book, talks about temples, talks about tantra, talks about yantras, talks about a range of diverse topics and the significance of the fact that all of these temples that were built in India since ancient times, everything has a certain relevance to it. Everything was used towards a certain goal, and it was built with extreme meticulousness, extreme scientific understanding, and not just scientific understanding, meditativeness. Everything that was built in India came out of a certain other dimension that cannot otherwise be accessed by us normal people. So every bit of it has a relevance of its own. I would like to read you some portions of it. Osho says, science can be taught, but art has to be imbibed. All these mantras have no meaning, but they have pragmatic value, and we used to make our children absorb them at a very early age. They would learn the use of the temple without even being aware of what they had learned. They would learn the art of entering a temple, how to sit there, and how to make use of the sacred precincts. Whenever there was an emergency or any difficulties, people would run to the temple and then return home having gained a sense of balance and tranquility. Each morning they would go to a temple because it was not possible to find what they got there anywhere else. But all of this was not taught to them, they incorporated it at a very early age in childhood. It was not taught to them, but imbibed by them. Whenever there is an art, it cannot be taught. The effects of sound in the temple and the temple itself were an arrangement for experimentation. As long as the effect of the sound of a word was not understood, the whole experiment was meaningless. For example, it was a convention that a mantra should be given to a disciple by a master. The emphasis was on the mantra being recited by the master in the disciple's ear. You might have known the mantra for a long time, but still the master would whisper it in your ear. You might wonder, what is new in this? Couldn't I have done it without my master? Everybody knows how to repeat a mantra, and still this master has whispered it to me as if it were a great secret. But what is to be understood is that the master says it in the disciple's ear. He does it in a particular way so as to emphasize certain sounds, something which is not known to us at all. As a matter of fact, there are various phonetic variations of Rama that have various effects. And then he goes on to say how Rama, once you begin chanting Rama, 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 you start saying Mara, 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 Mara. And then he says, So there are three paths to this mantra. Begin with Rama, lose your identity in Mara, and then the mantra will evolve into Rama. The second step of Mara is a necessary part of the process. Unless that happens in the middle, the real ultimate Rama experience in the third step will not happen. So he talks about various things, various important things. So it's an eye-opening book, but it's not something that will. Don't ever have this preconceived notion that these books will lead you to truth. This or Sadhguru's book or any spiritual book, um, for that matter. Yes, it is eye opening to a certain extent, but it is not spiritual by nature. It's just information. The real thing has to be known by you. The real thing has to be known by you and from inside. If it is coming from a book, rest assured that it's just something that the other person has realized and not you. And the other person's realization is good for them, happy for them, but it does nothing for you. The best it can do is open your mind up to certain possibilities. The third book that I read in this month was, I went to the book fair, I got this book. It's called On Love by Charles Bukowski. So this is, I don't know, musings, a compilation of musings and poems written by Charles Bukowski on love, lust, hormones, sex, women, drinking, and all of that. And it's a wild book. It also contains free verses on his daughter and how much he loves his daughter. It's perhaps the only thing that he's not talked about in a sexually prominent way. He's talked about his daughter with pure love, pure joy, which give me a certain amount of joy, but otherwise he talks about women and the various prostitutes that he has visited and how he has treated them and they have treated him in return. So he talks about love and lust and all of those things in between. I would like to read you a portion maybe. Okay. He talks about his wife. He talks about his daughter a lot as well. And he talks about various whores as well. So he says, to the whore who took my poems. Some say we should keep personal remorse from the poem. Stay abstract, and there's some reason in this, but Jesus, 12 poems gone, and I don't keep carbones. And you have my paintings too, the best ones. It's stifling. Are you trying to crush me out like the rest of them? Why didn't you take my money? They usually do, from the sleeping, drunken pants sick in the corner. Next time take my left arm or a 50, but not my poems. I'm not Shakespeare, but sometimes simply there won't be any more abstract or otherwise. There will always be money and whores and drunkards down to the last bomb, but as God said, crossing his legs, I see where I have made plenty of poets, but not so very much of poetry. But God said, crossing his legs, I see where I have made plenty of poets, but not so very much of poetry. That's Charles Bukowski for you. He's led a very open and authentic and wild life, and I appreciate that. So I think that will be a solid 4 out of 5 from me. Because Bukowski was one of those people who really showed me what it is to live an open life, a life that is free of pretensions and people pleasing, and that's something that was very important for me. The next book that I picked up, which I had to DNF, I'm so sorry, but I could not. I'm sorry. It was too much for me. It's Too Good to Be True by Prajakta Koli. So this is about, it's a romance novel set in I don't know, either Mumbai or Delhi. I don't even remember. I mean, it's too predictable. The guy, it's the classic, it's like the one hot guy with perfect suit and knows how to speak Italian and has his father's business on him. He thrives upon that. He's the perfect guy. Comes to a bookstore where Avani is sitting down at the reception, and suddenly he falls in love with this girl and the girl falls in love with this guy. It's all too predictable. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I love Prajakta. I love her work. I love what she's doing. I love everything that she's done. But I'm sorry. This is too amateurish for me. This is, as a debut novel, it's good because I don't think she's um, experienced with the art of writing, but this felt more like an American rom-com than anything else. I'm really sorry. It's not my cup of tea. I really wanted to love this. I really wanted to appreciate this. But the more I got into the book, the more I was having to read every 16 pages or so. I was like, this is it, I'm done. I can't. I'm sorry. I think it's set in Bombay and it's too full of, like, you can really guess that this is written by a person who is always on the internet, who is perpetually on the internet. The language that they use in the novel is just totally Americanized, and it's got nothing to do with literature and art, you know. And I guess it's written for the sake of entertainment. I guess it's written for a feel good time. And I guess it's good for people who are die-hard fans of Prajakta, but for me, it's a pass. I'm so sorry. It contains nothing of art and it's not remarkable in any way whatsoever. It's too predictable, at times cringy, and I don't like it, although I wanted to. I'm so sorry. I can give it a 2.5 out of 5 at best. That would also be a very generous rating for this. The last book that I picked up for this month and which shook me out of my guts and intestine and everything is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This one won the Nobel Prize for English Literature in 2024. The writing style of this novel, it is translated from the Japanese by Deborah Smith and written by Han Kang. So I just finished reading this today. Okay, it's translated from the Korean by Deborah Smith. Two very ordinary people living their lives. A husband and a wife. The wife is very ordinary. She loves reading books and everything about her is totally predictable. But one day, just because she had a dream, she decides to turn vegetarian and refuses to eat meat. And since then, everybody around her questions her decision, says she's totally out of her mind, and her father tries to force feed her meat. And something totally shocking happens from there on. You have to read it. It's wild. The writing is wild. I have heard people say that I have heard one person say that I religiously follow that the book lacks character depth, but I don't feel that way. I feel like the characters are well established and it's very much based upon the characters that we see around us in today's society. You know, close-minded people with fixed ideas, fixed morals, fixed values, who can't look at things with open eyes, who can't wonder about the beauty on this earth. Those are the kind of characters we see here. But this is a tale of desire. This is a tale of art, desire, and I don't know. It's too brutal, it's intense, it's vivid, it's visceral, it's beautiful, it's carnal, and it's just too lyrical in its writing style. I love it. At times it's so simple, but at times it's just too visceral, too beautiful. I want you to pick this book up and give it a read, please. Anyway, so I would like to read you a portion of this book. There was no way for her to judge the accuracy of the scene she saw then in her mind's eye, but had never seen in reality. She had held a wet flannel to her snuffling son's forehead all night, slipping occasionally into a sleep that was more like fainting, and saw a tree flickering in the rain like the spirit of some dead person. Black rain, black woods, the pale patient's uniform soaked through, wet hair, black mountain slope, Yong He, an inchoate mass formed of darkness and water, standing tall like a ghost. Eventually the day dawned, and when she placed the palm of her hand on her son's forehead, she was relieved by the coolness she felt there. She got up, went out of the bedroom, stared blankly at the bluish half-light leaching in from the living room veranda. She curled up on the sofa, tried to sleep. She had to get some sleep before Ji-woo woke up, even if it was only an hour. That's just to give you a taste of the writing style of this book. Please pick this book up. It's really, really amazing. It's one of the best ordinary tales I have read, and yet in its ordinariness, it's too extraordinary. So this one is a 5 out of 5 from my side. That's all the books I read for the month of January and February. Let me know which books you picked up in these 2 months, and were they good enough for you? Were they your cup of tea? What did you feel about them? And let me know in the comment section down below. And I will see you in the next video, which will probably come up 1 month later. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I love you. Please be kind to yourself and to all the people around you. And yeah, be in love, be in peace, and be happy and healthy. Bye.